YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are safe and healthy. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at an all-red DPS build that is a classic. This thing has been around since the release of the first raid. In fact, that is most notably what the build is known for. Its DPS role in the raids, but it is also viable in all other PvE content and in PvP. Now, this video is actually a repost because the last time I uploaded it, I did not have any gameplay attached with it. So I decided to delete that one and re-upload with some gameplay. So let's start with the gameplay and then we will follow it up with the build breakdown.
Hostile artillery detected. Allies are acquiring the boost. Allies have acquired the boost. Hostile Stinger Hive detected. Hostile Defender drone detected. Vital signs.
Okay guys, hopefully you enjoyed that gameplay. Here is an overview of the build. 3 pieces of Providence, 1 piece Fenris, 1 piece of Grupo, and the Fox's Prayer knee pads. The specialization is completely up to you and your playstyle. I like the gunner because it gives you the armor on kill, the faster reload, and the riot for foam grenades actually come in handy. However, the sharpshooter or the firewall are also good options for this build. For the primary weapon, I am using the SOCOM Mark 16, which in my opinion is a hidden gem. This thing hits like a truck, and a lot of people do not even know about it. I also love the aesthetics of the gun, so look good, feel good, right? For the talent, I am running Strained, which reads gain 10% critical hit damage for every 0.5 seconds you are firing, and this is going to stack up to 5 times. For the secondary weapon, I chose to run the SOCOM M1A. Again, a good looking gun, but it also does a lot of damage. The plus side of this one compared to what I used to run, which was the classic M1A, is the rate of fire that comes with the SOCOM. The talent I use is Boomerang, which reads critical hits have a 50% chance to return the bullet to the magazine. If a bullet is returned to the magazine, the next shot has plus 40% increased damage. Lucky Shot is also a good talent to run, and if you prefer the classic M1A, then by all means go with that. It still hits, they both hit pretty similar. Moving on to the first piece of gear, which is a Fenris mask. This gives an added 10% assault rifle damage, and then we've got weapon damage, critical hit chance, and a critical hit damage mod on this. For the chest piece, I run the named Providence chest piece, the Sacrifice. This gives 15% headshot damage, and I've got weapon damage, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance with a critical hit damage mod. The talent for this chest piece is Perfect Glass Cannon, which reads all damage you deal is amplified by 30%. All damage you take is amplified by 60%. Now, I know this talent is not for the faint of hearts. If it doesn't suit you or your playstyle, then Obliterate will work just fine. However, take advantage of cover your teammates and use your healers, and you should have no problem staying alive. On the holster, this is going to be our second piece of Providence, giving us 10% critical hit chance. And I've got weapon damage, critical hit chance rolled onto this. Moving on to the knee pads, you are going to want to use the named Overlord knee pads, better known as the Fox's Prayer. This gives 10% rifle damage, and we've got weapon damage, damage to targets out of cover, and critical hit damage on these. For the gloves, I use Grupo Sombre gloves. This gives 15% critical hit damage, and then I've got weapon damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage rolled onto these. And last but not least, for the backpack, I use the named Providence backpack called the Gift. This is going to give us 15% critical hit damage. Then we've got weapon damage, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and a critical hit damage mod on this. The talent is Perfect Vigilance, which says increases total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables this buff for 3 seconds. For the skills, this is obviously subject to change depending on playstyles and what you are doing, but I like the Reviver Hive for an extra life, and then the Scanner Pulse allows me to see targets. Taking a look at our stats, we are sitting at 56.6% critical hit chance and 186.6% critical hit damage. This thing is a monster. Now, I know I will catch some slack for not using the Contractor's Gloves, so let me explain my logic or way of thinking. The Contractor's Gloves may hit harder. They may not. I do not know personally, but the way I looked at it is that critical hit damage is offered by the Grupo gloves. It applies to all targets and all enemies, where the Contractor gloves only apply to enemies that have armor. The bonus you get from the Contractor glove being the LMG damage, and me running an AR and rifle did not give any added benefit. So I do have an LMG version of this build that I run, and I utilize the Contractor's gloves. I'll be showing that later on in the future, so be on the lookout for that. Also, I want to address the mask. I showed a Fenris mask, however, from tests ran by another YouTuber who I can't remember the name to give credit to, unfortunately. His test showed that at 51% and above critical hit chance, Fenris is not really the best option to run, so I do switch from the Fenris mask to the Exotic Coyote mask, which is probably the best option in this build, and even the Hollow Man mask from time to time, which gives 10% hazard protection from the yaw, which really does nothing for me, but I like the added damage to health that you get. It really comes in handy against Warhounds, mini tanks, and Razorback, and all the other enemies that just have the long health bars. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, be sure to leave me a thumbs up, as it really helps the channel grow. And if you're interested for more content like this in the future, be sure to subscribe. Remember, life's a gift, but it's not always wrapped in a bow, so always stay dedicated and keep grinding. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you guys in the next video.